Thank you, everybody, for joining us today for another episode of Advisor Access. I am joined today by the wonderful Christina O'Toole, who's based out in Pittsburgh, and we are going to be talking about the Salamander Resort today, which is a beautiful property in Virginia. Before we dive into that, though, Christina, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me today. And before we launch into all that is Salamander, I just wanted to quickly ask you to tell us just a little bit about yourself, how long you've been in the business, and how you came to Avenue to Travel.
Thank you, Carissa. I'm so delighted to be here, and thank you so much for having me. I've actually been in the business since 1989. I had my own agency for 12 years that I operated here in Pittsburgh, and one thing led to another, and then along came Craig and Debbie Bush. It was back in 2018, November of 2018, and I received an email from Craig. He told me he and Debbie were celebrating their 50th wedding anniversary in Paris at La Reserve. Nathaniel Most mentioned my name and said you had to speak to Christina if you're in Pittsburgh now, and well, here we are.
I love it. Well, we're delighted to have you as part of the family. So today as I said, we're going to talk about your recent trip to Salamander, which is kind of in your backyard almost. Being based in California, it's closer to your backyard than mine. But this property, if I'm not mistaken, is located fairly close to Washington, D.C. And so from Pittsburgh, how did you pick this property? Were you there for business, for pleasure, maybe a little bit of both? I think all of our trips are usually a little bit of both. But how did you settle on this particular property?
Well, I'm very familiar living in Pittsburgh. Middleburg is only about 4 hours to drive from Pittsburgh. So I used to attend the Gold Cup in Middleburg with a friend of mine that lived in DC. And I said, this is a fantastic countryside escape. So here we are looking for destinations and discovered the Salamander property.
What time of year did you visit the property? I know we're recording this in August and you were there not too long ago, but you were visited during the summertime as well?
Yes, actually I visited this past August as well, and visited actually twice with another colleague in the industry and some friends, but it's a destination for all seasons. So if you want to visit in the fall foliage would be a great time. The spring, any time of year, it's a great destination for any type of celebration or weekend getaway.
And being just an hour from DC makes it very easy and doable, I think, for many that might live in not even in DC, but in the area. How many nights would you typically recommend if you had? It seems like there's quite a lot to do on property, which we'll talk about in a second. But for guests that are going to visit, how long would you, in an ideal world, how many nights would you recommend?
Well, you definitely need 2 nights. But if you can stay for 3 nights, I think you're going to be able to really experience the destination and the area of Middleburg. The countryside is beautiful. There's so many wineries to visit. So deciding on which winery you want to go to, or what you want to do at the resort, because it has a lovely spa, I think 2 nights minimum would be the right time.
Fabulous. And can you tell us just a little bit about the rooms themselves?
Yes, there are 168 rooms and suites, great for families. The rooms are very, very spacious. Some have fireplaces. Every room has a terrace or a patio. Everybody has views of the landscape and the gardens, beautiful countryside that Middleburg is known for.
What room category would you sort of recommend if it wasn't the category that you stayed in?
Well, the category that I stayed in, the first one I stayed in was with a fireplace. So it was a deluxe guest room with fireplace. So it was a estate, and it was an upgraded room. The rooms are so spacious. I didn't notice any difference with the regular guest room compared to the one with the fireplace. Any room category, I didn't see a room category that I would discourage anyone. Obviously, if you want some extra room to spend in a suite, then obviously you're going to want to take that room category. The bathrooms are very well appointed, spacious in every aspect.
And do they have connecting options? I assume with so many family activities that they probably do, but
Yes, of course, of course.
And as far as types of clients that you would suggest traveling here, is it a very family-friendly destination, as well as obviously with wine being set in such a beautiful wine region is great for couples or girlfriends or friends traveling together? Is it kind of a broad scope of guests that would fit here?
It is definitely a broad scope. I saw while I was there plenty of families traveling with their pets because it is pet friendly. Couples, milestone anniversaries, birthday parties. I saw it ran the whole gamut. It's definitely a destination that is romantic. It's the great outdoors are at your fingertips and everyone is welcome. And I can't say enough of how relaxing it was to get away and a change of scenery. So it's definitely a place for everyone.
Place for everyone, perfect. And as far as activities go, so not kind of looking further afield to activities beyond the property, but just on property, can you speak a little bit about some of the activities that they offer, which of course are seasonal, but when you were there, what type of activities were they offering?
Sure, absolutely. So again, I'll mention the fabulous Salamander Resort Spa, which was absolutely fantastic. It has its own spa pool. The treatment rooms are absolutely gorgeous. It's spacious. The waiting areas, the locker rooms, everything was absolutely pristine. Other than the spa, oh my goodness, it's an array of activities with outdoor, their equestrian center, with their own magical cupcake, which is their miniature horse that is a must-see. So cupcake is available for cocktails and the living room of the resort. So many fun different activities for children. There is a cooking school studio on site, which is pretty nice. It's going to be something that I return back to. Harriman's studio it's the cooking school. In the evening, you can spend the evening on the terrace, or you can go to the fire pit and make your own s'mores. There's so much to do, and the hiking trails and the walking trails, garden, you'll
really
get
it
lost.
Sounds like the options are truly endless, and even making this an annual trip, one weekend a year or something, there's plenty to do and plenty to see. And this could also be a spa weekend away. And I know that this property as well is part of our wonderful Virtuoso collection. And as far as amenities go, as many of you watching probably know, that by booking with a Virtuoso advisor like Christina, you'll be able to get these additional amenities. Does this particular property, do they include a spa credit as one of the Virtuoso amenities?
They do offer a resort credit, so absolutely you can use that as part of the spa.
1 hour from DC and having these majestic views and experiences, and as you can see in the picture behind me, the outside dining venues also seem to be quite numerous, and that you don't really necessarily need to leave the property over the course of the weekend. There's just so much to do. But for those that want to step outside and want to go, did you have the opportunity to go to any neighboring restaurants or any other dining experiences beyond what's offered on property?
Yes, actually I did. I went to a couple different restaurants, some really special places. One was the Red Fox Inn, which has been doing a lovely tasting menu in the summer with under a tent, which was actually very nice, and the food is incredible. I don't want to discount anything that's at the Salamander, because Harriman's restaurant is absolutely fantastic. But in the area, the Red Fox Inn is a great option, and you can actually walk from the Salamander. It's a good walk. You may not want to do it in heels or all dressed up, but the resort definitely has some golf carts that they'll run you down in, and a courtesy car as well. So you don't have to worry about driving. The resort has a courtesy car.
You also did some wine tasting while you were there. What type of wine are they known for in this particular region, and sort of how many wineries maybe would you suggest if you had guests spending 2 nights and maybe doing a half day, full-ish day of wine tasting? How many wineries is sort of realistic for them to visit during that time?
2 are probably enough per day. The most renowned one is called RDV Vineyards, kind of placed in a barn, and I found it very intriguing. What they're doing, the Bordeaux that they're making is absolutely outstanding. I would highly recommend a visit to RDV. So another winery that I'd recommend is Green Hill Winery for those that like white wines and Chardonnay. It's a great winery to visit and maybe spend the afternoon for lunch, or say you're on your way home and you want to make one more stop.
You mentioned also the on-property restaurant, and is there a particular dish or a specialty cocktail or something that is an absolute essential that you would recommend for anyone visiting?
The Gold Cup Bar is one of the best places to find your signature cocktail at the Salamander. Along with the wines that they serve from the region, there's always a feature wine, and I highly recommend trying a wine flight there.
They, I assume, would showcase with their wine flights the local wines from local wineries.
Yes, exactly.
Sounds like that this particular property, the Salamander, is popular for those within driving distance, and I assume that it's very easy. They have on-site parking, and they're prepared for that as well.
Absolutely. The destination, again, is only 1 hour from the Dulles Airport in Washington. Very close drive. If you're attending maybe a convention, I think this is a great destination to host a group, again, with its easy access from the DC area.
Is there anything that we missed? What anything else that you'd like to include?
Well, I have to mention shopping. We always want to go shopping at our destination. So Middleburg has some lovely boutiques, including this fabulous Christmas store that everyone should go to. The country stores that are there are just so authentic. If you love that equestrian look, then you're going to find everything you need, from button-down collars to custom-made shirts.
How far is the town from the property? Is it also walkable, or is this one you have to drive to?
Actually, yes, you can walk.
But if you're shopping, you might want to drive.
Or have the courtesy car come pick you up.
There you go. Within the same area, there's a couple of other properties that are also spectacular. Can you tell us a little bit about those?
Yes, I'd love to. The one property I want to mention that is actually in the Middleburg and very close to the Salamander, and a great place for another dining option. It's called the Goodstone Inn and Restaurant. I was amazed leading up to this property. It was a hideaway in the woods, and it was breathtaking just driving up this long winding driveway. And as soon as I got there, I fell in love with the property as well. Now, again, it's not going to be for everyone. It's pretty rustic. You almost feel like you're on a farm. But the property has cottages and a pool that is draped in the gardens that I can't even properly describe how pristine and how pretty and gorgeous the property was. And the restaurant, we dined outside, poolside. It was, I don't know how the service staff brought all the food from the restaurant area out to the pool on trays and presented this culinary experience. It was absolutely amazing. So if anyone wants to pop the question or have a special anniversary, this would be the place to have that dinner.
It sounds like it's fairly secluded, and with cottages, that also is appealing from a outdoor entrance standpoint and being a little bit more private. Would you also recommend this property for people with families? It sounds like it might be more of a couples or girlfriends trip.
Well, you could. They do have a restriction under the age of no one under the age of 14. So it's for that the older kids, teenagers, because you're going to have a different type of experience. They're not going to have enough to do probably on property, even though it is a working farm and it's all farm to table food. There's tours to go into the gardens, into the orchard. They have honeybees. So those types of activities. And even if you're not
staying at property, or on that, let's say you're staying at Salamander and you go there for lunch, would you still, as a guest dining there, be able to see their bees or visit their farm?
Absolutely. Yeah, it would be something we just arranged in advance, and and add it on to all the other activities that you have in Middleburg.
That sounds beautiful. And I assume for that property as well, you probably say 2, ideally 3 nights as well?
Yeah, I mean, 2 nights. You'd have to really decide on if you wanted something that, I don't want to call it rustic, but that much more secluded. The Salamander is going to offer is a much larger resort. So you're going to have a more resort feel. This is much more private, hideaway, secluded.
Got it. And you mentioned that there was also a second property that.
Yes, I would be remiss if I didn't talk about the Inn at Little Washington, a Relais and Chateau property, which is about an 45, 50-minute drive from the Middleburg area. But what I like about combining the Inn at Little Washington with the Salamander is that you're going to have 2 amazing experiences. The Inn at Little Washington has a 3 Michelin star restaurant under the guidance of Patrick O'Connell. They received their first star last year, and they've also have retained that star this year. The Inn at Little Washington is fairy tale. The restaurant is perfection. It's like walking into a kaleidoscope is the only way I could explain it. And the fantasy is just amazing, and everything in the town is part of the inn and the restaurant. So the shops are all in different buildings. So you just have this own little intimate town, the gardens, and the food, the culinary experience is unmatched by anyone.
So for those guests that are combining Salamander with the Inn at Little Washington, would you say that's kind of a 4 to 5 night stay between the 2 properties?
You definitely you would stay 1 night. I mean, I wouldn't recommend anybody going to the Inn at Little Washington, having dinner and driving back to the Salamander. It's a gorgeous scenic drive, but it's a windy drive. So you're on small
backcountry
roads. So you definitely want to spend the night there, have dinner, and just take it all in because it's extraordinary.
It sounds like it's certainly worth the 45-minute drive just to have it and have it pair so well with Salamander and make that into even more of a long weekend. So 3 to 4 nights between the 2 properties. At the Inn at Little Washington, do they also offer similar types of activities as far as, outdoorsy hiking activities, or if you were spending 1 night there and having dinner at the beautiful restaurant, but also had the morning or even most of the following day to explore the area, what type of activities do they have?
The activities are a little bit more limited. I mean, again, it is a town. They have their own shops and craft areas, but it wouldn't be a place that you indulge in. Again, it's so close to the Middleburg. You still have the wineries at your fingertips. So again, it's a more similar to the Salamander, but when you're there, you're really experiencing, that culinary.
You're there for food and wine.
Yeah.
Got it. Wonderful. Well, thank you, Christina. This has been delightful. I really appreciate you taking the time today to chat about your own experience and the area around Middleburg and all that there is to offer there. It certainly is a nice, easy getaway for those that are looking for a little change of scenery, which I know we all could use a little more of these days. And really painting such a beautiful picture of the area and of the region. So thank you so much. I appreciate your time. And for those of you that are watching that would like to be updated with our most recent videos, please subscribe below and you'll be sure to be notified.